Hi, Dr. Kimberley Wilson. I want to talk a little bit about breast health today. As a pelvic floor physical therapist, we certainly talk about all of the aspects of being a healthy female, but breasts are very important for us females, and we want to keep them healthy for as long as we can. And if you know me, if you followed me very long at all, you know that I am a fan of keeping castor oil on hand. We use castor oil packs for many, many reasons, but I want to talk to you today about a very specific way that we can use it to support our breast health. Just to give you a little bit of background, some statistics, if you'll allow me to. 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer. That's a staggering number. 30% of new female cancers is breast cancer. Risk factors, according to the breastcancer.org, is being a woman and getting older. So at some point in our lives, we're all going to fall into those two categories, which means we're going to have a higher risk of developing breast cancer. Doesn't mean we will, but our risks increase just because we're female and just because we're getting older. Other afflictions that might happen besides breast cancer is a breast implant illness. That's something that is being talked about more, and I'm glad, ranging from 1 in 3,800 to 3,000 cases per 100,000 women. And I know that's a broad range. It's a large disparity in those stats, but that will likely change as more new research takes place. There just hasn't been a lot of research over the past couple of decades. But now we're starting to gather that information. So we'll likely see those numbers become more narrow and specific. Lots of women have fibrocystic or lumpy breasts. Sometimes they're tender at certain times of your cycle. We can have blocked ducts or blocked lymph nodes. I already mentioned breast implant illness. And then, of course, the breast cancer. And why do these things happen? Well, there's a multitude of contributing factors, some of those being genetic, of course. But I want to talk about the stress that is in our bodies that might contribute to some of these issues. So stress on a system causes inflammation. Now, this is general terms, right? So stress on our bodies causes inflammation. And the longer you have stress on your body, the more inflammation we'll have. Stress can come from all kinds of places. It can come from toxins in the environment. It can be an emotional toxin. It can be an internal byproduct of, made by your body as a result of a virus or a bacteria. And there's 3 basic stages. So stage 1 will get an inflamed gut. That means that your body's increasing histamine and adrenaline. Stage 2, metabolic energy and sleep problems occur. So we're going to have decreased melatonin and we're going to have increased cortisol. And in stage 3 of this sort of stress inflammation cycle, we see hormone imbalance. So we're going to see the up and downs of estrogen. We're going to see decreased progesterone. We're going to have ups and downs of testosterone. And guess what? Breast tissue is largely made of hormonal tissue. So they're going to be very sensitive to those hormonal changes. So now let's talk about how castor oil can help with the stress and the inflammation. So whether you're dealing with breast problems, having specific fibroids, or you simply want to do something to support your breast health, here are some things to consider. Number 1, what can potentially block the ducts within the breast lymphatic system? So bras are a big culprit. They can limit the efficiency of the lymphatic flow. Lymph flow is in itself kind of like a river that washes over and dilutes the toxins. And breast tissue is mostly fatty tissue, which happens to be exactly where toxins are stored, in fatty tissue. Bras, it can make it worse if the bras are made of plastic materials or hormone disrupting chemicals. The lymphatic system doesn't have its own circulating pump like our heart circulates the vascular system or the circulatory system. So the lymphatic system relies on other means like diaphragmatic breathing, for instance, dry brushing, physical movement, especially in the arm and upper chest area. If I have somebody who is very maybe athletic or very physically active and they've focused on maybe their pectoral area, delts, and their arms, that's great, but it's certainly going to put a lot of resistance, or potentially put the resistance in that lymphatic area of the breast. It almost becomes like bands in the breast tissue. So coming in to support that area with just the gentle pressure of a castor oil pack can help to release some of that tension and then encourage the flow of the lymphatic system. So the castor oil then, the pack itself can sort of act like a pump for that lymphatic system. It naturally supports the lymphatic cleansing, the flow, and the drainage as you breathe during your sleep. So the castor oil pack is there, you're breathing while you're sleeping, and the diaphragm is causing rib expansion, and so we sort of have this little pump that works while we sleep. Castor oil stimulates smooth muscle. So smooth muscle in the wall of the blood vessels and the lymphatic system. Castor oil will support that. Castor oil packs help to reduce stress in general. They augment dopamine and oxytocin because the placement of the pack helps to shift you into a parasympathetic nervous system state, or that rest and digest. Castor oil packs stimulate the vagus nerve via the feedback loop because of the tactile sensation, using the receptors in the dermis and the epidermis, and then that results in deeper and better sleep, and which ultimately then helps to support that lymphatic system that we just talked about. Number 2, when we're talking about how castor oil can help to reduce the stress and inflammation. What part is hormone disruption playing? I think we have to consider that. So if your breasts have cysts or fibrotic tissue, do you have ovarian cysts? Have you been told that you have uterine fibroids? Maybe you have a cyst or a nodule on thyroid. Those are all signs that your body is stockpiling toxins. It's a congested lymphatic system, which then stresses your hormonal system. In a normal, healthy body, lymphatic drainage transports toxins so they can be taken out or eliminated by the body. The liver detox separates packages, fat for fat soluble and water soluble, and the colon then eliminates those toxins out of the body through the stool. But we already know how constipation is one of the major issues that we use castor oil packs for, and so it's all related, very, very much a loop. But in a stress state, getting back to that stress and inflammation, if your body's in a stress state, the body will then wall off toxins, forming cysts, fibroids, nodules. Your body's in a stress state, so it's going to wall off those toxins, forming cysts, fibroids, nodules. That means your body's having issues with detoxing. And the more fat you have, the more estrogen dominance that you will have, and most likely the more hypothyroid-like symptoms you're going to experience. So that all works together. Then complicate that with a female body that now is starting to age a little bit. Now maybe we're into perimenopause or menopause. Also a state where we could potentially have more estrogen dominance. That's a relative estrogen dominance, meaning as compared to your progesterone, because most likely you're going to have both low estrogen and low progesterone. You are truly menopause, but overall you're going to have more estrogen per progesterone. So more inflammation, a more stressed body. The more toxins that build up, the more congested the liver then becomes. That's going to cause the thyroid to be sluggish. Thyroid is very sensitive to environmental toxins. And because the thyroid then supports movement, metabolism, that's going to feed into a more sluggish lymph system as well. So what's the end result? A lot of times we'll see you gain weight, have a hard time pooping. You have a lot of congestion in those hormone producing organs like the thyroid, the ovaries, the uterus, and the breasts. Ultimately, it's a hormonal mess. So what are we going to do about it? Well, if you want to do something to support your breast tissue, your breast health, which is what the topic of the day is, then I say consider using castor oil packs on the breast. Now, in upcoming videos, my intent is to be a little bit more in depth about certain breast health protocols in regard to castor oil packs. But as a general rule of thumb, it's a good idea to do the breast pack during that luteal phase of your cycle. So at the same time you would do like a pelvic pack, you would also do a breast pack. You can it's up to you. I'm not going to say you have to use a certain material or pack, but definitely you want to put clean organic materials on your skin, and certainly in areas where you have lots of lymphatic tissue, because that's going to seep into the pores of your skin. So my favorite way to do it is just order the breast packs from the Queen of Thrones website. I know that I feel safe about putting that up against my skin. They'll slip right inside your sports bra, and you can sleep in those overnight. As you place your pelvic pack around the pelvis area, you can sleep in that, supporting your lymph system. You're supporting your autonomic nervous system so that you can have more restful and deeper sleep, be more into that rest and digest versus fight or flight while you're sleeping. You'll have your body sort of natural pump for that lymphatic system as you're breathing against the gentle resistance of the castor oil pack. And if you'll do it consistently, at least over kind of a 3-month period, then you see some improvement, especially if you have some obvious signs and symptoms like, fibroids that palpate or cysts, or things like that. If you find this information helpful and you want to do something to support your breast, give it a try. And as always, please post your friendly comments at the bottom and questions, and then look for upcoming videos with more insight on breast health. So we'll talk soon.